Hi, I'm Tubby. I'm here with Karen Shoemaker, also known as One Medium Rare. Karen is a survivor, or as she likes to call it, an experiencer of 19 near death experiences. 7 of those were documented by medical doctors, 12 were undocumented, but Karen remembers them all vividly. Her first one was when she was 7 years old. She was playing outside, just with the other neighborhood kids, and one boy that you would describe as a bully um, became mad at your sister and went to go hit her on the head with a BB gun, but he hit you instead on accident, and you left your body immediately. Is that correct?
I literally fell to the ground, knew I was dead. I looked at my body, but I had the mind and the memory of someone very, very old. And in that memory, a conscious memory, you become aware that you are no longer in your body. You don't have eyes, you don't have a brain, and yet you're having an experience that you can't describe. You become aware of a universal consciousness, an energy pattern, but it doesn't always reveal itself right away, or at least it didn't to me. So, and that taking place the way it did, all I remember thinking when I looked at my body on the ground was, what a shitty way to die. Then I heard the ambulance consciously. I didn't see it, I'm not in body, so how do you know this thing's coming? And I could see the young man that would make my heart start beating again. But I knew that I'd be out of it for a while. And I didn't understand what that meant. So anyway, I leave my body. This young man comes, the ambulance comes, he gets out, and the name I saw was Andrew. And he had a name tag on, and it was Andrew. So Andrew is telling everybody to calm down. They called the police, they called the, medics, other medics, because I needed some special stuff done. And they get me into the ambulance, and he manages to get my heart rebeating, but not before I had a conscious awareness of going up steps to heaven.
Oh, okay. So you saw these, like, were they like white steps, or like the book in the biblical sense, the pearly gates and all that?
They looked more marble, and there were pebbles, dust, like normal steps that have been walked over a lot. You also become consciously aware of other people that are there, but they're not people anymore, they're just consciousness. And you become aware of all these different conscious thought patterns, and you're able to speak to everybody in a telepathic sense.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, once I was taken up the steps, I was led by a very, very old man. He seemed familiar somehow, and I was told that I was being taken to put my name in the book. I had no idea what book he was talking about. I had no understanding of anything that was really going on, and yet I felt safe. I felt loved. I could consciously think. And then I found myself asking a lot of questions, and he kept telling me, you'll see, you will answer them, you will see. People nowadays, when I read them, they get a little miffed when I tell them they're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
But That's part of the fun of it.
Well, let me just interject right here. Because of Karen's many near-death experiences in joining what you call the universal intelligence, is that the best word to describe what?
For our human mind to comprehend, yeah, that'll do. That'll do.
Okay, and so you, because you crossed over, touched that universal love, that all-knowing universal intelligence, you brought it back with you when you returned to your body each time. Is that
It was
correct?
after that circumstance that I became psychic.
Yes, very,
Um,
very psychic.
It was more minimal back then.
Mm-hmm.
I could be sitting next to a relative and I'd know they would die. I would pick up feelings when people weren't feeling well, so I would pick up sicknesses and I would tell my mother they were sick with cancer, they were sick with, the flu or influenza or whatever it happened to be. Some of it I didn't understand yet. But the consciousness is so huge and so fast that trying to keep up with it the first time is next to ridiculous. Now, you've got to realize that when I died, I had white blonde hair. When I revived after a 3-day coma, during that 3 days, I wasn't in a coma, not in my way of remembrance. My way was I was in school. I was taken before this big man in a chair, and he had me sign my name in this huge book, and he says, "You are given eternal life, and you will understand more later,
Okay.
but not now."
Okay. Who is this man?
I'm not really sure if I had to call him God at the time. That's probably what I would have called it. I hadn't been to church. My parents weren't really big into that at the time, so I really had no church education to even make me think it was God. So, and yet that's how it came across. So I didn't understand that either. So this NDE at that age left me with questions,
Right.
But it did enhance this ability to see things around people. It's when I became aware of auras and colors. And I knew that colors had a great deal of impact with people. So even that, I wouldn't understand till some of the other NDEs. Now, a lot of people ask me, why 19? Well, that will be explained over time, because it's a lot of information. You gain an awareness and a wisdom that is just beyond people's ability to understand right away. So I have to go slow. My life took several turns after these. But after I signed my name in the book, I kind of woke up and I saw the nurse with her back to me. And I knew her name was Susan. I didn't know how I knew. I just knew her name was Susan. So I said, "I don't know why you're crying. You wanted the divorce." Now this is coming out of a 7-year-old to like a 34-year-old. So it didn't make a lot of sense. She was just surprised I came out of the coma. So she goes running out into the hall and she asks for the doctor. The doctor comes back and I look at him and I say, when you take the bandages off my head, my hair is going to be black. It's not going to be white blonde anymore. And he just looked at me and he looked at the nurse, and I heard what they thought at each other, and they were saying she's still kind of out of it. She doesn't know what she's saying. just keep an eye on her type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear them say that exact thing in the hallway.
Wow.
So it was just one of those conscious awarenesses that you can't explain.
And why did your hair turn black?
That, to this day, I do not understand. My hair color changed from black to red to, a very brassy auburn, which as a teenager I sported. My hair was auburn. It wasn't dark brown, it wasn't blonde, it wasn't any of those things. But it was very, very curly and very, very thick. So it was just interesting how certain things took place after that NDE. And I was not a normal child. I can remember being on the playground, warning my French teacher that one of my schoolmates was going to fall off the jungle gym. I knew he would have a compound fracture in the leg. I walked away, and she goes running over, and there's nothing wrong with him. Well, as she's walking away herself, all of a sudden she hears a scream, and she turns around, and there he was. Jeff was laying on the ground with a compound fracture out of the left leg.
As a child, was that upsetting? Did it confuse you, or was it just normal, your new normal?
It was my new normal. I would think of people thinking they could hear me, because when I went up those steps into what I term heaven, because I didn't know what else to call it, my consciousness expanded to such a degree that I thought everybody could hear each other think.
Yeah.
And it took me till I was like 9 before I realized they couldn't do it. And seeing colors around each other, they couldn't do that either. So I knew that it would eventually be called auras. But auras had not been mentioned by anybody in the medical community at that time. So I was getting stuff that would take place in the future. So I've had that ever since. And over time, it got more and more pronounced.
Yes, I can attest to that. I'm very fortunate to have met Karen at our local Cincinnati IANDS meetup, and I can give so many examples of when Karen just puts it out there, without any hesitancy, knows so much detail about a person, the events in their life, past, present, future, people that they are connected to, who they'll meet. We have lots and lots of fun examples of Karen's really amazing abilities, and we'll share some of those. And Karen, also, you are a professional psychic. I know you're not crazy about the term psychic, but you are a professional psychic, medium, healer for both people and pets, and you can be reached at, do you want to give out your phone number?
Yeah, my phone to contact me is 513-748-0816. I travel quite a great deal, but that is the number. You can reach me at any time.
Yes, and all the gifts that you have, and you can do remotely, over the phone, in person, if it doesn't matter, right?
Right. Nowadays, because of the last NDE I had, which we will cover eventually, that is the one that opened me up exponentially. And all I have to do is hear someone's voice now.
You're amazing. I'm so happy to have met you, and I'm very, very lucky to have received your guidance and your love and wisdom, since we met. And so it's wonderful that, you know, you're available to anybody that might need you, could benefit from your guidance and your incredible insight. And also, if anybody wants to find out more information on Karen and her services, you can find her right now on Facebook at Karen Shoemaker, one medium rare, and we'll put that information down below as well. So thank you for sharing your first near-death experience, which happened to you at age 7, which is incredible, and you would have to experience this 18 more times over the course of your life, and the last one being just as recently as 5 years ago. Is that correct?
In 2014. And there is a reason that I had that many, and that will be explained over time as well. People are more than they think, and that's the message I want to put out. And they don't understand the perfect symmetry of the universe, and there is a perfection there. And it makes you really appreciate every single breath you take.
That's incredible. I know you have a lot of wisdom and knowledge to share with us, so we'll end it here for now, but we will discuss more of your experiences in your life and everything you have to share with the rest of us, and answer the questions that we all have, since you've been there 19 times.
Well, Tavi, there's one thing I want to put across to people. Most psychics come across really, really professional and organized and this and that. Well, you know what? Sometimes we're not that way. And I am very direct. I try not to wound anyone, but I love to laugh, and I talk about rubbing my Buddha belly. And you actually have a lot of good luck. People's lives change after they talk to me, and I don't understand why, but they do change.
Yes, yes. Things shift around a person when they are, you know, when they cross paths with you, and I can tell you that is definitely true. Like I said, I'm very lucky to have met you.
And I love you too.
Oh, thank you. So this is a good place to end, and we will continue this discussion because we have a lot more to cover.